Hello and welcome to the show today. I'm super excited you could be here because we got several things to really dive into today, all of which can make you more money. And I think you're going to love our guest because he's done some really cool things and some things you probably like to accomplish. He's going to tell you how he did it and how you can accomplish a lot of cool things in your business as well. So with us today is Paul Alex. So Paul's the founder of ATM Together. Back in 2016, he embarked on a side hustle journey with ATMs, seeking passive income opportunities while working as a detective. Now, fast forward to 2020, he transitioned into helping entrepreneurs nationwide establish their own ATM businesses, leveraging his expertise in digital marketing. And remarkably, he has empowered over 1,100 entrepreneurs along the way. His platform, atmtogether.com, has achieved remarkable success, generating over $4.5 million in revenue with just 18 months. Today, Paul oversees a multi-million-dollar digital business and leads the largest ATM business Facebook group, boasting a community of over 34,000. And that's just the stuff he's done before that, even what he's doing now. He's done so much cool stuff. Paul, welcome to the show today.
Hey, how's it going, my man? How's
Good,
everything?
man. You've done some really cool stuff. You've been busy over the last matter of years, huh?
It has been insane. The past 6 years of my life, man. Oh my God. I always tell people I've always lived like three lives, but yeah, dude, it's gone quick for sure.
Well, walk us through this. I mean, we'll start kind of at the beginning. So you went from being a detective into jumping into entrepreneurship into the ATM business. So how did that start? Where did you make that leap?
Yeah, very unique story. I jumped into law enforcement at the age of 26. I decided after being in corporate America for 6 years, I did quite well for being in my 20s. Didn't really have a direction. I just knew to work hard. And the reason why is because my mother was a single mother, raised me since I was two. She used to work at the Four Seasons as a housekeeper for like over a decade. And I remember just being at home, watching movies with my siblings. And that was it. That was life as a kid. But my mom, I would always see her coming late at night after working 18-hour shifts, and she would still turn on the light, wake us up, like, hey guys, I'm making you guys dinner. And I always respected that. I respected the fact that my mom, even after 18 hours, would still make a home cooked meal for her kids. So it always stuck with me. It always stuck with me. And that's why you can say I have a big heart. I resonate with a lot of people. So yeah, after being in corporate America, man, I started dabbling into real estate, bought my first real estate property, my first condo in Emeryville, California, right in the middle of the whole recession with the housing market crashing like around 2008. And dude, ever since then, I've been buying real estate probably every couple of years, which is good. But that's all I really knew about investing. I didn't really have a mentor. And you could say I was okay with my money. I wasn't the best. I wasn't good about saving, but I did invest into real estate. So that was a godsend. Age of 26, decided to be a cop. And that was after a friend of mine who was the sergeant of police for San Francisco PD was just like, hey, man, you're a very charismatic guy. You know how to talk to people. Why don't you just be the police? And I was like, no, I can't do that, man. And you know what? I just did it. I decided to go work in the city of Oakland. Oakland, California. And at that time, man, it was labeled the number one murder capital of the United States for like a consecutive 3 years. And everybody was just like, don't do it, please. And I did it, man. Like, it took me a couple tries to pass the background process, which is heavily thorough process. It takes usually about a year in order to just get police academy. Did police academy, wasn't the most military guy out there because I came from corporate America. And I was just like, dude, I will do the work. Just don't yell at me, guys, please. And was able to pass academy within 2 years. I was a very proactive entrepreneur. And what do I mean by that? Or not entrepreneur, but officer. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I loved to talk to the community members. I loved to get out of my squad car, go around my beat, say hi to the business owners, talk to the community, actually show that the police are actual people as well. So I would bring a little bit of personality to it. And then at that time, I was a lot younger than I am now, so I was a little bit more approachable, and people were like, "Hey, man, you seem like a great guy. Like, why do you want to be a cop in Oakland?" And I was just like, dude, you know what? If I was going to be a cop, I want to be in a cop that needs it, or in a city that needs it. And then after 2 years, I was voluntold to go into investigations. So I became one of the youngest detectives in my actual department. And that was just due to the hard work that I was doing. I was very proactive. I would show respect, very community oriented officer. And I just did good police work, what I was meant to get paid for. And went into a task force. During that task force, there was an incident where we did an undercover operation. I was part of a police raid where about half my team almost died from a fentanyl overdose. And fentanyl, if you guys don't know, that's an opiate that medical staff use to actually numb you during surgery. Well, with fentanyl, at the time, the suspect who was in the hotel room that we were raiding, he was a major cocaine dealer that literally bailed out the same day after we already raided his house, which was crazy, kind of like a movie. And he was actually inhaling heroin mixed with fentanyl. So when we got into and actually breached the door, he stood up and all that powder just went on half of my team. I thought my coworker was going to die within seconds. His face turned blue, his lips turned purple, fingers turned blue, went to the ground. Luckily, a few weeks before, I got shipped for training to Quantico in Virginia. And I was trained at the DEA Academy. So I was trained for Narcan, which is the actual antidote that can actually combat overdoses from fentanyl. So luckily, I had just gotten that training. We were able to go ahead and get the antidote, save his life. But from there, it changed me. It changed me. And the reason why it changed me is because before that, I was working 80 to 100-hour work weeks. So let's think about that, man. I was working a tremendous amount of time in this profession that was realistically my only source of income at that time. And I always say this to everybody that I talk to, right? Because like we were saying, your network is your net worth. And I always say, if you only have one source of income, you're only one step away from poverty. So at that time, that's what went through my head. What if I got on medical? What if I would have died? What would happen to my family, my girlfriend at that time? You know, everybody that I love, my little dog, right? Like, what would happen to all that? It would crush them. So at the end of the day, that's what really changed me. Within a few weeks, I had a really good friend who was a 15-year veteran with the department. He always talked about ATMs, automated teller machines. And he would always bring it up. He had that entrepreneurship spirit. I did too since the age of 18. But here's the thing. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a mentor. And before I actually got into corporate America, got into law enforcement, I was a nightclub promoter for like 6 years from 18 to 24. People don't even know. They're just like, whoa, really? And dude, I loved it. I loved setting up the events and working the logistics and getting the artists and making sure that everything goes out right. And then people just have fun. And then you get paid for that. It's like if you're getting paid for, something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. I don't feel like going on vacation. I live a vacation, And that's where, when I was younger, I used to hear successful business owners and people that were older than me when I was like 21 and I was in sales, they would always say, "Hey, Paul, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good, sir. How about yourself?" And I would always remember this. They would always say, "I'm living the dream, brother. How's your weekend?" And I was like, in my mind, I was like, "What do you mean by that? What do you mean living the dream? I'm over here like it's 6 a.m. I don't want to be here. I'm doing sales. I'm not getting paid that much compared to what you're getting paid. But now I get it. I resonate. It's just like when you are truly passionate about what you do, which is helping others, and you're able to make money doing that, oh my God. You don't have to take a vacation. You're living vacation, right? You are living the dream. So to go back to the incident, I started looking into ATMs. Weird enough, man. And the reason why I even dive into it, okay, because it's very unique. Why would a cop dive into ATMs? It's very unique. The reason why, because number one, it was simple, black and white. Number two, I saw that the biggest pain point with ATMs was just going ahead and dealing with merchants, meaning that you're dealing with business owners. You have to convince them to place your machine on there so then they could get the convenience of having their clientele stay in the proximity of their stores, use the ATM, and then they can utilize the cash to go ahead and buy their services. And I was like, that's a pretty simple concept. I could do that. I'm not a smart guy, but I know how to sell. So let me go ahead and do that. So paid a two weeks paid vacation for the department, threw on the old corporate America monkey suit, like I like to say, and went out there, started knocking on doors, cold calling, was able to send lock down 6 locations in 2 weeks. Signed a 3-year contract with a major ATM company, got 6 ATMs. Later to come find out that they were taking a percentage of my surcharge profits, which is the fees that you charge in order to make money from your machine. This is how you profit from ATMs. And then I had to pay $7,000 later on to actually get out of that contract, which I'm going to give you guys a little tip right now if you guys are listening. Don't ever, ever sign a contract with an ATM processing network. This network is free. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially the network comparable to when you guys have a phone. It's like getting Verizon or AT&T. It's what makes the ATM work. Okay. And this should be free. It should be a month-to-month basis contract. And you keep 100% of the surcharge fees, meaning that if you charge $350, that's all yours. They get another fee called interchange. And that interchange fee is what the banks pay them to run the network and to facilitate the transactions on your behalf. As you grow bigger as an ATM dependent deployer, then you get the opportunity to negotiate if you get a percentage of that interchange fee. But as a beginner, no one needs to worry about that until you have a few ATMs and locations on lockdown. Now, what I always tell people is the number one mistake that I did wrong in the very beginning of my ATM journey, and that was not self-educating myself enough. Not self-educating myself enough, not investing into a mentor. Because now, 36-year-old Paul, future Paul, he knows that self-education, number one, is key. It allows you to grow faster. So what did I do? What was the one thing that I did to go ahead and actually expedite my ATM career? Well, before I tell you guys about that, the first 6 ATMs that I placed, only 3 of them were actually bringing in good revenue. When I say good revenue, a minimum of $200 in residual income a month. The other 3, they were in bad locations. So those 3, they were only giving me around $50 a month, man. I was wasting more money going ahead and filling up my truck at that time. I was driving a Dodge Ram 1500 at 7 miles per gallon, and I was driving to go pick up the ATMs and all that jazz. I was sick. I was just like, no, this can't go wrong. Like I don't like to fail. I always had a winning mindset. And I went ahead and I started jumping back on Facebook. I jumped on Facebook, started joining a couple of Facebook groups, and then I found a mentor out of Southern California that had thousands of ATMs. Well, I messaged them and I was like, hey, I'm a cop. I'm doing this as a side hustle right now. I wanted to see if I could pay for your expertise. I know time is not free for anyone. I said, okay. He took me under his wing. You're a good guy. I like you. Within 2 months, I was actually able to take those 3 ATMs that weren't generating me barely anything and actually move them to new locations based on the strategies that he showed me. Not only that, I waited another month. That very next month, I made $3,000 in total from the 6 ATMs, which was amazing. Now, the game changer here was the fact that I actually paid that mentor, right? One-time fee. And he was able to connect me to his network. And what do I mean by that? Well, why do people pay for masterminds? Why do people go ahead and pay for mentors? Proximity. It's the shortcut to success. So I went ahead and I actually met with his network. His network was like, hey, we hear you're a good guy. You're still a rookie, but you're a good guy. We want to give you the opportunities with placing some of your ATMs in your area, and we'll go ahead and we'll pay you for that. Guys, I was able to land deals with some major dispensaries at the time when dispensaries before they came legalized in California, when they were still doing the pre-planning and everything. It was amazing. locations that were able to give me around $1,500 per ATM placement, guys, a month. And that was because I took the initiative to pay a mentor who knew more than me, that had better success, and I wanted to be where he was at. I was then able to go an 18-month span from the time that I started to 30 locations, made $12,000 to $15,000 on average in residual income from those machines. I was able to hire 2 part-time employees, one that would fill the ATMs and a tech on call. What dramatically changed my life? Did those 30 ATMs make me a multimillionaire? No. It made me financially free. And there's a difference. Because you can be a multimillionaire, but it doesn't mean you're going to be financially free. Because you still have to actively still work for your money. I was already a millionaire as a cop with real estate. I already had $1 million net worth, but I was actively working 80 to 100-hour work weeks. So I was so stuck at that 9 to 5. The powerful thing about residual income or passive income was the fact that it was my vehicle to freedom. It was the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I always tell people. Don't look at what the one ATM can do for you. Look at the long game. If you want to build something great, it takes time. The shortcut to this, especially in 2024, and what I've learned, is if you're willing to pay for someone who's already highly successful in what you want to do, they can cut that by half. And even within a few months or within a few years, guys, if you follow what they tell you. I've met people that the minute that I met them, a month later, they put me in a room where I'm able to generate $400,000 within 20 minutes. That's it, because they put me in front of their audience. Proximity, guys. Your network is your net worth. I'm a big believer in that. And that's how I started my ATM venture, man. I know I went on a long rant, but that's the beginning of the ATM venture portion of it. And then there's several other things that we could dive into as well.
Paul, let me ask you this. There's a lot of people that listen to this thing, man, this thing's pretty cool. So if they're interested in jumping into that game and, starting their own ATM business, what's some of the best advice you could give? What are the pitfalls they should look out for besides finding a mentor? I know you'd probably be a perfect mentor because you've done a lot of cool things. Besides finding a mentor, what are some of the best advice you could give from learning what not to do and what to do best to help accelerate somebody's successes jumping into the industry?
The number one thing I would advise everybody to do first, market research. Market research. And I'm not a salesy type of guy. The one thing that I always tell everybody, I'm a big heart. I want everybody to succeed. I want to give everybody hope. So the one thing you want to do, number one, when you are brand new, always buy a brand new ATM, guys. Right now in 2024, you can get ATMs for around $2,500. That would include shipping anywhere in the United States. Okay. Even in Canada, I think in Canada, they're around the same price, probably a couple $100 more because of shipping. Also, when you go and you actually deal with an ISO, which is called an independent sales organization, this is the company that provides you the network in order for your ATM to actually function, to work with the banking network. Majority of times, if they are a smaller ISO, they're going to want to charge you a percentage or they're going to want to charge you an upfront fee. Now, it could be worth it. It cannot be worth it. You have to ask. With us, for example, if you guys were to go through my company ATM together, we provide you that for free. We also have 24/7 customer support, but it's because we have the logistics and we've been around for a while now. There's a lot of companies out there, they're a one-man show and they can't handle more than just a few clients. So just make sure you guys do your due diligence, do your research. And this is actually Detective Paul talking from back in the day. Just do your due diligence, guys. It's the internet. You want to make sure that, the company that you're working with is legit. Now, the biggest pain point when it comes into this industry, locations. Locations. We're in 2024, guys. There's a lot of competition out there, okay? So for me to say this is going to be simple for you to do, no, it's not going to be simple. But I always have a saying, closed mouths don't get fed, guys. Okay. And I know time is money. And for a lot of you that want a side hustle, but don't want to put in a ton of time, no problem. Okay. We do have a solution for you where we could go ahead and facilitate that for you. We do have call centers that are set up to help you with that. If you're interested, then we can provide that information at the end of this. But if you want to go ahead and land your own locations, what I would recommend is it's going to be a minimum of 80 to 100 hours to find a decent location. It has to be cash driven. And also, a good selling point when you guys go and actually pitch your ATM to a location, ask them how much they're paying in credit card processing fees. You're going to get a huge advantage over that. And the reason why, because 95% of all merchants across the United States and in Canada, they're actually paying hundreds to thousands of dollars in credit card processing fees. So how can you add value to these small business owners? You could go ahead and just start off with, hey, what if I could save you a couple hundred to thousands of dollars in your credit card processing fees? Would you be interested? And if they don't have an ATM, guys, it would be an irresistible offer for them not to put your ATM at their establishment. I hope that helps.
It helps a lot. And one thing I think a lot of people are wondering and aren't familiar with the industry, is there an idea of how much you could make per machine if everything else is right? If you have the right location, for example, is there an idea of how much money you could potentially earn or the average that somebody earns on having an ATM?
Average is going to be 200. I'm coming in monthly. Now, you guys are probably like, that's it, 200? That's on average across the board, guys. There are locations, like I said, when you guys were hearing my background story, where you would land a dispensary, you would land a location that's a cash only. Liquor stores in California do extremely well, where I'm originally from. The reason why is because people like to pay for actually lottery tickets, and in California, you have to use cash, can't use credit. So they have to go ahead and use their ATM, which it's the strategy. You place it right next to where you sell the lottery tickets. So some locations are going to do extremely well. Other locations are going to do average. And if locations do bad, just like you guys heard in my story, ATMs, remember this, ATMs is what we like to call floating assets. Your ATM is an asset. It's like a little piece of real estate. If it does bad in one location, don't lose hope. Just go ahead and find a new home for it, and it can start generating you more income.
Well, you had mentioned the processing fees merchants pay. And from my experience, it's one of the biggest expenses that a normal company has, is the credit card processing fees. It's small in the beginning, but then as you grow, it becomes oftentimes tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month that you spend. Now, you've been able to successfully not move from, you're still doing ATMs, but you've been able to kind of segue into the merchant industry itself. So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing there and how groundbreaking it is.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of my latest programs, my latest companies as well. In December of 2022, I got approached by two highly successful entrepreneurs out of Los Angeles, California, and they were ISOs, independent sales organization for merchant services. For anyone listening to this right now, and you guys are like, what are merchant services? Because at the time, guys, before I got into entrepreneurship, I didn't know what merchant services was. But essentially, it's just the credit card processing fees companies. And they went ahead and they were like, hey, Paul, you've done some remarkable work with your online company, atmtogether.com. And we love how you're so enthusiastic and optimistic about helping anyone generate passive and residual income with businesses. And I said, yes. So we want to offer you a new opportunity. Well, the opportunity had to do with credit card terminals. Now, I know you guys might be thinking, if you're hearing this, you're like, well, every business already has a credit card terminal. Here's the thing. They are very niched down. So a few years ago, there was a program called the Cash Discount Program. And the way the Cash Discount Program works is essentially you would go to a merchant, a business owner, and approach them and say, how much are you paying in credit card processing fees? They're going to go ahead and say, well, I'm paying either hundreds or thousands of dollars in credit card processing fees. Well, here's where you can go as a merchant services agent, as a business owner, and go ahead and say, well, what if I'm able to wipe out all the fees for you? They're going to ask you how. All you're doing is implementing the cash discount program where essentially you're flipping the roles. So instead of the merchant, the business owner, taking on those fees, which is the old school way of actually doing business, now since COVID in 2020 has trained majority of the world to pay convenience fees, guys, it is becoming very normal. Actually, a lot of businesses, they tag on the fees, which is not even legal. Check your receipts, guys. When you guys go eat at these high-end restaurants, okay, I'm based out of here in Miami. All right, regular restaurant out here in Miami is probably $500 for two people. But if you look at the receipt, and on there it says additional fee, or they'll put something on there to justify what the fee is. You want to ask the waiter, what is this 10%, 8%, 20%? More than likely, what it is, guys, is the business is trying to go ahead and have you pay the credit card processing fees without telling you. Without telling you. And they're not supposed to do that. They're actually supposed to advise you, which is part of the cash discount program. And that's exactly what I'm educating you guys on. So the cash discount program is essentially where the owner gives you the option to pay that fee. Now, if you don't want to pay that fee, then they have to be able to accept cash. And that's how you guys can save yourself on paying that convenience fee. Now, less than 5% of the United States right now is using the system. But what we've been able to do, because we have the resources, we already built a multi-8-figure company with the ATM business. We were able to take our exact strategy that's worked for us at ATM together with my executive team, the logistics, and the mentorship of my mentors in the merchant services industry. And we've been able to go ahead and actually close 80 locations within a 90-day launch when we launched this last year in 2023. It was a no-brainer to the merchants. And the reason why you see this, guys, is because H2H interaction. H2H interaction is human-to-human interaction. Guys, since COVID, a lot of us got introverted. Let's be honest with ourselves, okay? I'm an old school millennial. So I still love to talk to people. I'm a people's person, but a lot of people are not. So we were able to solve that problem, help thousands of people in the ATM industry. And now we're doing the exact same thing with entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs that want to make residual income, but now with credit card machines. So essentially, what we're doing is we are either doing it with you or doing it for you. And year to date, since we launched in February of 2023, guys, our company, Merchant Automation, has now crossed over $6.3 million of revenue. Not only that, we've already helped 450 clients successfully doing this. And you don't even have to hear from me. You don't even have to hear from me. The reason why I say this, the biggest reason people love doing business with us, I like to show off my clients' results. It's about the people. It's about the people. If you go to any company, you know the fastest way to vet a company, to vet an entrepreneur, a business owner, ask them, where are the results from your clients? That's what matters, guys. It's not my success, it's their success. So that's what we've been doing with merchant services. Been doing some really cool stuff. We're going to be adding Canada in the next couple of months here, possibly by next month. But we're really excited about that just because we already have a waiting list of over 100 entrepreneurs ready to launch out there. And it's been amazing. So,
I mean, I'm curious. One thing is I didn't remember to ask you on the ATM side. When you're out buying ATMs, you're having your students do this. Do they get financing? Are they able to get money? Being the business credit financing show, it's obviously something we're always interested in. Are they getting financing to buy the ATMs, or is there specialized financing? Are they using other kind of financing? Are they just paying cash for those when they get them?
so I'm a big believer in leveraging credit. And that's the way we always educate our clients or anyone who comes to us. We always say, what is your credit score? You have a certain credit score. We always recommend trying to apply for either personal or business credit card that's usually zero interest. that gives you anywhere between zero interest for 12 months to 18 months. Go ahead, buy your ATMs with that. That's something that I did initially with my first batch of ATMs. And then I used the cash in my bank account, my savings, to go ahead and load the ATMs with my own cash for operating expenses. So essentially, think about it like this: the cash that you're putting inside your ATM is just getting reused over and over again. And essentially, it's just growing because the fees that you're charging the clients, they're going ahead and they're getting redeposited to your bank account every single day with every usage.
Makes a lot of sense. One last question as we wrap up. Let's say I'm interested in a couple of these things, right? I'm interested in getting into the ATM business, learning it, and I want to follow your lead of learning from a really experienced, knowledgeable mentor, which obviously you are. And the other thing is that what if I see overlap here? I see the ability to talk to a merchant about both ATM and processing possibly at the same time. So there's another opportunity here of maybe offering the no dis or the merchant services as well. I call them 0% fees, but you refer to them, I think, as something different with the discount program. So if I'm interested in getting in the discount program to offer this to others, to other merchants that are out there, or maybe saving zero or saving the credit card processing fees on my own, or getting in the ATM business, what should I do? What are the next steps I should take to learn more and to get in touch with you and your team?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm very easy to find. You guys can Google me. It's pretty cool to say that nowadays. But no, the fastest way to actually get in contact to me to actually talk to me, I always answer all DMs, is go to Instagram. It's going to be Paul Alex. And then I have a second profile as well, the Paul Alex. And then all my companies are on there: ATM Together and Merchant Automation. And then I actually want to leave value for your audience. And self-education is everything. Me reading, where I wasn't an avid reader as a kid, really changed my life. And I know it sounds cliche, but I actually came out with a book, which is called From Blue to Digital Gold: The New American Dream. Because I think the new American dream is not just working for someone else, it's actually doing what you're passionate about. And that's what I've been able to do. So I want to help you guys as well. In this book, I'm actually going to give it to you guys for free. All you have to do is just take care of shipping. So if you guys want a copy of this book, the best way to go ahead and start any of these ventures is you could go to www.officialpaulalex.com/free book. And here's some great advice, guys. If I was looking to start with ATMs or merchant services, the cash discount program, whether you start with ATMs or the cash discount program and merchant services, you could do either or first and transition to offer both services. And the reason why I say that is because with the cash discount program, you get paid per swipe. So they pay for the convenience fee, the clients, you're going to get paid. And guess what? If they don't want to pay the convenience fee and they need to take out cash, now you can place your ATM and charge a fee on your ATM. So it's a win-win for you guys, and you help the business owner wipe out 100% of the fees, guys. So I hope that helps.
I love it. Paul, thanks for coming on us today. Powerful, powerful stuff, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, so listen, remember, this knowledge doesn't do anything for you if you don't take action, right? So what action should you take? Well, Paul's run successful businesses in multiple different areas, including two areas that could be very, very lucrative for you that we dove into today. So this is what you should do. First of all, go grab the book, grab the free book. It's a free book. I mean, you can't beat that. And I went ahead and checked out his page. It's awesome. So go to the officialpaulalex.com. That's officialpaulalex.com/free book. So officialpaulalex.com/free book. Make sure you go do that. And it's really easy. Surprisingly, I think Paul Alex, I'll be honest, I thought that was more of a common name, but you dominate that, because when I type in Paul Alex on Instagram, you go right to him. The very first search that comes up, and the second, I think, both lead to him. I'm going to put, of course, links to both of those on the show resources page, but make sure you do this. Like, there's a lot of money to be made with ATMs, and there's a lot of money to be made by helping merchants basically get rid of the biggest fee that they have, right? And neither one of these are really hard sales, because both of these help the person that you're actually selling to make a lot more money on their end. You get to help them, and you get paid doing so. And there's one source that can get you into both of these industries, not just get you in, but help you achieve ultimate success in a very short period of time, right? And I find that's important, right? When I think about Warren Buffett, one of the best quotes I've ever heard is, "Hey, it's good to learn from your mistakes. It's even better to learn from the mistakes of others because it shortcuts your process, right? Like it takes years off the learning process and helps you achieve rapid results in a very short period of time." And that's exactly what Paul is able to do for you. So make sure you go to officialpaulalex.com/free book, and make sure you go to Paul Alex on Instagram to follow him and DM him to be able to talk a little bit more about taking a next step. So make sure you do that right now. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to visit officialpaulalex.com/free book and find Paul Alex on Instagram. Take care. Have a great day.